Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Let's get to the rest of the Sunday slate, starting with the Buffalo Bills 44, Tampa Bay Bucks 32. Buffalo keeping pace in the AFC East as best they can with the Patriots 7-3 now. Bucks fall to 6-4, and with the Panthers win, Bucks are now clinging to a half-game lead over the 6-5 Panthers, and they still have to play each other twice. We'll talk more about that as we go here. But Buffalo gets the win. Josh Allen with 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing, 19 of 30 for 317 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 picks as well. Some ugly ones in there. This was a wild roller coaster of a game that featured 9 lead changes.
Yeah.
9.
It was one of those games where
44-32 is the score, by the way.
there are some games where you go through and you're sort of vaguely sketching out a chronology of how it goes, you know? And then there are games like this where it's like, there's no point in even trying to navigate this. It's just like there's a lead change every 3 seconds. It's going back and forth. There's crazy plays all over the place. There's no point trying to maintain a narrative of this game because there's just too much.
It also never got outside of one score at any point. It was always a one-score game. So sometimes you get the back-and-forth game, but at least a team got up by 10 and then they, blow it or whatever it is. Never got outside of one score until Buffalo, put back-to-back touchdowns together in the fourth quarter. Let's start with Josh Allen because it started with one of those panic interceptions from the end zone, and he's kind of like half shovel pass, half just late, under pressure, throws it to Jacob Parrish. And I'm over here saying, nothing's wrong with the Bills. Just don't turn it over. Remember, like we spent Wednesday, there's nothing wrong with you Bills. You'll figure it out. You'll be fine. Just don't turn it over. And they, early in the first quarter, Josh Allen turns it over, leads to a touchdown for the Bucs. And it's like, all right, well, if you're going to keep playing like that, that's, not going to be good.
Well, those are like, those plays, there were quarterbacks throughout history that tried to make plays like that all the time, and usually they didn't work, and usually they end up exactly the way this one ended up. And the sort of freaky thing about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and this new era of quarterbacks is their success rate on those what look like crazy throws is insanely high, and the damage rate in terms of how many times they put it directly in the hands of a defender is extremely low. And so you've just sort of taken it for read that they, whatever it is, they're just able to do that. And this is the play that you expect to happen all the time with those throws. It's like slightly panicked, weird sort of shovel, like basketball-y chest pass. Let's just get it out, flick it in the general direction of somebody. And then, no, there's a defender there. Like they're able to make that play. It's kind of amazing that doesn't happen all the time, but it doesn't. But Allen makes the big mistake on this occasion.
Second interception, threw it right to Tyke Smith, who tipped it up, and Savaje Dennis caught the ball. So it was like two pretty bad decisions from Allen on those 2 particular interceptions. And then I know it was 3rd and long, and he was kind of taking a chance, but he started to run. He runs, and he tries to throw the backwards pass. Like Allen was in one of those modes.
Well, it felt like,
and it worked both ways. I'm starting with the negative parts of Allen's game because obviously he did have the 6 touchdowns and had some huge plays in there. But didn't it feel early on like there's some games where he's like, I'm putting the cape on, let's go. We've got these offensive issues. We're coming off this Miami game. I'm going to make the plays. But early on, it felt like they were pressing plays, right? Interception, and then it's like 3rd and 15 or whatever. He's scrambling, he's looking around, and he throws. The physics doesn't work. He tries to throw it backwards. It's a illegal forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage. He was trying to do a lot in this game.
And not just them, but it felt like, or not just him, but it felt like the Bills, period, were pressing early in this game. It's almost like they were acutely aware that they needed this game. So you have the crazy Allen interception, shovel pass from his own end zone thing. But like very early, they go for 4th and 4 at the Tampa Bay 30. Like that's an aggressive move early in a game against a team like Tampa Bay. They get it. They get a touchdown on that drive. Allen's, power play. So they're 7-3 up. Like early on, it felt like Buffalo across the board were pressing. And obviously Josh Allen is the biggest part of that, or the guy that takes most responsibility for that. But yeah, it was strange how kind of forced the whole thing felt from Buffalo's perspective.
So that just stood out to me early. And then obviously the Bills ended up they made some big plays. It was really windy, big wind weather advocate over here when we're as an apologist to quarterbacks. The difficulty in throwing in the wind didn't matter with the Tyrell Shavers touchdown for 43 yards. Your guy Keon Coleman.
Benched. What about
Benched.
my guy, Keon Coleman? How's he my guy?
He's not. The hot button. He was a hot button issue.
Healthy scratch.
Healthy scratch, Keon Coleman. Third,
Allegedly not for performance reasons.
third disciplinary action against Keon Coleman. And Shavers, as you know, was he a late round or undrafted free agency out of San Diego State? Flashing the last couple preseasons. He did a really nice job. 4 catches in this game, had the touchdown. Allen had one of those plays. It's a 3-man rush. He's scrambling around forever and finds Shavers for a 43-yard touchdown. Cut in the wind, didn't matter. So they had some big plays down the field. They had a little swing pass to Ty Johnson. Every time we cite, Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns. Yeah, one was like a 52-yard little swing screen, not to take anything away from Allen. But the
also
Bucks
got James Cook matched up on a defensive end.
That's it. Like they had the swing screen to Ty Johnson, get James Cook on Yaya Diaby down the field?
No,
or is it Anthony Nelson? Anthony Nelson. Yeah, I had it in my notes. Could have just Cook isolated on Anthony Nelson. Great play call in my notes. Apologies. They did a nice job creating those mismatches. And it's interesting when you go up against the Bucs defense because they blitz so much. They do drop their defensive ends into coverage quite a bit, and they're not like some of the other teams that have these undersized defensive ends that they drop into coverage. It's guys like Anthony Nelson who are like 280 or whatever. Buffalo did a really nice job creating some of those mismatches. Allen went into Superman mode for better or for worse. And, of course, once they get into the low red zone, he is a bit of a cheat code when it comes to QB sneaks and running the ball.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, it's unstoppable, the stuff that they run him the way the Giants were running Jackson Dart, and he just isn't susceptible to the same, like every 3 minutes you're going to come out and get evaluated for concussion because he's huge. Josh Allen just barrels over people and it doesn't make any difference. Just when trailing in this game, he had over 300 total yards and 5 total touchdowns. And they won the game by 12 points or whatever it was. Like,
impressive.
Utterly insane.
It felt, we were trying to, I spend the Thursday show breaking down the scenarios and taking a lot of time to explain what's at stake, right? And when you were talking about what was at stake in this game, like if Buffalo wants to come back and win the East, if they lose this game, almost no chance,
right? Because
of New England's schedule. The Bucs, what was at stake? Well, they're sitting, what happened? Panthers win. They're now a half game up in the division. So there was a lot, but this definitely felt like a break glass in case of emergency Josh Allen game. We come in here on a Monday morning quite a bit over the last couple of years, and I usually compliment the Bills when they win without this type of performance from Josh Allen. The game where James Cook goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns, when it is more of a run game, when the defense makes plays, or when it's, say, a yak-heavy type of game and the tight ends and the running backs do a lot of the heavy lifting. They put a lot on Josh Allen, or Josh Allen put a lot on himself. I think he was pressing early, but he didn't implode after pressing. Instead, it was just a full, hey, there'll be some high variance in this one. There'll be some bad plays, but far more good than bad. And at the end of the day, you score 44 points. And a Buffalo offense that was, inconsistent the first half of the season has all these explosive plays in this one game.
It is just kind of fascinating how much they seem to decide that this game needed to be full send the whole way against Tampa Bay, who, they're good, but they've lost to Philadelphia, they've lost to Detroit, they've lost to New England before this game. They're at the moment in that kind of bracket of, well, they beat bad teams, maybe lose to good teams. It feels like the kind of game we're going into it. You could say, well, maybe, maybe our regular game will beat Tampa Bay. And then if we need to break glass in emergency in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen can put on the cape and take over. Instead, from like minute 1, they were like, no, this needs to be full send the whole way. Like Tampa Bay, we need to bring the A game. Josh Allen needs to be Josh Allen for the whole performance for us to have any shot in this game. It was just strange that seemed to be the determination from the get-go.
On the other side, and by the way, like facing the Bucs, they held James Cook to 3 yards per carry. Like that is the type of game where maybe it's difficult running up the gut on them. I suggested maybe you could run outside. They didn't really get anything going from a run game perspective, so maybe part of how it became more of a Allen take over type of game. From a Bucs perspective, on the other side, Still some serious inconsistency with their pass game. Baker finishes 16 of 28 for 173, touchdown and a pick. Had some drops in there as well.
The pick was ugly.
It was. And Cole Bishop, man, just continues.
Dude, he's just like lights out at the moment.
He is. And, I thought he was a second-round pick, really athletic safety out of Utah, and coverage wasn't his thing. Like he was, when you're evaluating college prospects, you don't always know the play call or, who's at fault for everything. But he was, like we talked about with some other players, adjacent to a lot of coverage busts.
Yeah.
He was involved in a lot of that. But I think when he peeled off his coverage and just made a great athletic play. So now you're talking, like Cole Bishop he made a ton of huge plays against Kansas City 2 weeks ago, just using his athleticism. And athletic safeties who aren't great all-around football players, like that doesn't always work. But for Cole Bishop, he is on a run right now where that athleticism shows up 2 or 3 times a game, and that interception was outstanding.
I wonder how important, bringing Jordan Poyer back has been to him. This old veteran safety who's been in the system, for a long time before he departed and comes back. Like that kind of veteran presence and partner in the back end could be hugely beneficial to somebody like Cole Bishop, young athletic safety trying to find his way. But he's been absolutely lights out the last few weeks.
Had the Bills not pulled away late, we'd be trashing their run defense, and that was real. I mean, that's how the Bucs stayed in this. So I'm talking about their uneven passing attack. But Sean Tucker running hard again, 2 touchdowns, including a 43-yarder. Rashad White had over 5 yards per carry. Like their backs went for over 150 yards on 29 carries between Tucker and White.
Yeah, without their lead back.
Still without Bucky Irving, right? I mean, so I think Buffalo's run defense, they got gashed a little bit. They let lost contain, let the Bucs break outside a little bit. Tucker ran the ball extremely well again. Also caught a touchdown in there. So 3 touchdowns for Tucker. He's had some huge games over the last couple of years as a number 3 back every time he has to fill in.
All 3 of those backs in that backfield are talented. It's, Bucky Irving being so good the way he was kind of made everybody forget about the other 2, but the other 2 are good. They've got 3 running backs that can all do damage.
Yeah, and look, the defense let them down in this game. I think they still need to find some more rhythm offensively, through the air. Since Mike Evans' second injury, I think they dealt with Evans' first injury pretty well earlier in the year, but since his second injury, had a difficult time moving the ball through the air. I know they put up 32 points in this one, but had some short fields with the turnovers and everything. That's I think a factor here for Tampa Bay these last couple weeks as they move to 6-4, and again, only a half game up on the Panthers in the South right now.
Tony Holtzman Escareno tweeted that Josh Allen now has 10 career games with 3 or more touchdown passes and 1 or more rushing touchdowns, which is now the most by any player in NFL history. He just broke a tie with Drew Brees and Tom Brady, who both had 9 such games. And obviously theirs is very heavily weighted towards, the passing with a rushing touchdown in there, i.e. a sneak.
And Allen tied Cam Newton for most regular season rushing touchdowns.
Him, I'm pretty sure. I think he tied him with the first one, maybe, or the second one.
Allen's going to continue to stack up.
He's going to have 100 plus. Records. He's going to have 100 plus rushing touchdowns. Like he's going to be top 5 all time of all players for rushing touchdowns. Forget quarterbacks. Like Derrick Henry is 4th or 5th all time with like 105 or something. Like Allen's going to get there without that much longer.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be like Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Josh Allen by the end of their careers.
Only 9 years into his career. And overall, been, as you said, pretty durable for a guy that plays like that. So impressive win for Buffalo as they get back on track, bounce back from last week's beatdown against the Dolphins.
I just wanted to, going back to the Keon Coleman thing for a beat. Obviously, healthy scratch of your first round wide receiver. He was first round, right? Last pick of the
second round.
Second round.
Late,
early
pick
of the second round.
Yeah.
When you're effectively benching that guy, that's pretty catastrophic this early into his career, regardless of what the reason is, whether it's performance or attitude, or disciplinary, or whatever you want to say. That's not great. I think we're back to this idea of he's just not the receiver that the Bills think he is in terms of stylistically, whatever about how good he is. He's not the player that they think he is style-wise. But also you're getting this ton of you're getting all the revisionist history of like, wow, because Because remember, there's a gaggle of wide receivers at the bottom of that first round, top of the second round area. Like, the Bills picked the wrong one. It is interesting, though, now, looking back at the decision and sort of going, well, okay, forget the fact that they initially started off a little bit higher, because they were in the position that Kansas City ended up picking in, right?
27?
28.
28 were Worthy was picked?
Yeah, so theoretically you can say, well, you could have picked 28 and had your selection of any of these guys, even if you give them that spot. Xavier Worthy was the receiver that got taken at that spot that they traded out of. Then you got Ricky Pearsall at 31, Xavier Liget, 32, then Keon Coleman, 33. Ladd McConkey's the next guy. So he's the one where you'd be like, I mean, if you had Ladd McConkey versus Keon Coleman right now, I think you'd be a lot happier. But after that, Jalen Polk, 37, has been a complete and total disaster. Then Adonai Mitchell, who we just talked about as being the source of every bad thing that happens in an offense. Malachi Corley, third round, utter disaster. Jermaine Burton, third round, even worse disaster, albeit one that you could have seen coming. Roman Wilson, third round, pretty disaster adjacent, shall we say. Jalen McMillan, good player, hurt at the moment. And then you're down to like Luke McCaffrey's of the world. Like, this is what looked like a spectacular wide receiver class is actually not turning out that way necessarily. So as much as doesn't look like Keon Coleman was the right pick for Buffalo, it's not as easy as it looked to find the right pick from that group.
And if in hindsight, obviously, you'd say Ladd McConkey.
Right. But
with foresight, we probably would have said Ladd McConkey, too.
But at the
I
time,
think
it
we
was
mocked
like
him to Buffalo and Carolina
and
San Francisco a couple times.
Yeah.
But either way,
you would say Ladd McConkey.
Worthy would have been interesting, though, for Buffalo with his speed.
But at the time, it felt like, other than Keon Coleman, Keon Coleman never felt like a good fit for Buffalo. But at the time, it's like that entire gaggle of wide receiver was sort of just pick your flavor, right? They're all more or less in the same area in terms of talent, ability, what they're going to be. They're all going to be good players. Now it's like Ladd McConkey's the best of that group, but if you picked any of the other ones, you're not loving life right now.
Except Liget later yesterday for Carolina. It's got those flashes.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.